Hi, I'm Bill Varney from FishTheSurf.com and your saltwater guide with your surf fishing report for Thursday, March 13th. Well, first of all, I want to thank everybody who responded to the Duracent testing information. We're expecting, probably about 20, maybe 30 responses to that. That's about as much as we had to send out to folks, and we had over 150 responses. So I've talked to Gamakatsu. They are getting more product to me, and so all of you who emailed me, thank you so much. You'll be getting your package in the mail in the next week or two. Please take it down to the surf. Test it out, let us know how you do. We've already gotten about 30 packs out right now. We're already getting reports back. Lots of beautiful fish. So let's start with our surf report up in the Santa Barbara area, and thanks to Hook, Line, and Sinker in Santa Barbara on Cali Real off of Upper State Street. They really help us, Ben, up there on getting some details on what's biting. The surf, the wind, the storms have been quite a bit up there in the past week or so, but they had a couple of good days, and during those days they had some really good barred perch fishing. No halibut have been biting in the last week or so, but they've seen quite a few corbina in that East Beach area near the Santa Barbara Wharf, Sandspit by the harbor, and up at Ledbetter Beach. They're not biting yet, but I think the real secret to that is in the next month or so we should see that water temperature come up a little bit more, and when it gets to 60 degrees those sand crabs will come to the surface, and before you know it we'll see corbina all up and down the California coast. The Carpinteria to Ventura area was also slow because of the storms. There has been some nice big barred perch kicked out of there in the last week or so on those calmer days on that Monday and Tuesday of this week. So that will certainly improve as time goes on. I know we're going to also see in that area some corbina, as we normally do once that water warms up just a little bit. And then down in Ventura, it's been about the same. The perch were biting again on those nice days. But I want everybody to remember, with these rains that we've had and these outfalls where you have fresh water coming to salt water, that's the spot you want to look for stripers. There's no doubt that stripers will be out now after these storms looking for something to eat. And then we go about a month down the line here, and those stripers will be spawning, and they'll really be on the bite. So keep your eyes open for that. And once again, fish areas where you have fresh water meeting salt water. Certainly moving water and that brackish water is exactly what they love. Malibu, really no word for Malibu this week. Very quiet. Doesn't surprise me particularly, but I know perch fishing continues to be good in that area, and I'm sure next week we'll get more details on that. The best fishing of the week for sure occurred down in the South Bay in both Hermosa and Manhattan Beach, where several anglers got 3 corbina over 22 inches, some beautiful yellowfin croaker right around 3 pounds, and then quite a few of those really big barred perch, those 13, 14-inch barred perch down there have been very good. And anglers have been using the Duracent baits, the green Duracent sandworm, the orange Duracent eggs. Those have worked really well in combination. Grubs, gulp, and hard baits. All of those have worked down in the South Bay for these corbina, yellowfin croaker, and perch. That looks to continue to get better as time goes on, because we've had probably 40, I would say, corbina caught in the South Bay in the last 3 months, which is phenomenal for the winter time. As we make our way down to Orange County, Orange County also remains good. There has been issues, of course, with the storm and the wind and stuff. Today, a terrible day for surf fishing down there, but Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday were decent fishing days where anglers were catching quite a few barred surf perch and quite a few yellowfin croaker, fishing all the way from the jetties and the pier in Newport Beach all the way up to the Huntington Harbor. That kind of zone along there has been the hot spot, with the cliffs at Golden Rest Street really seemed to kick out the most fish. So that continues to be good. I know there's a lot of corbina in that area also, and as this water warms up a little bit, we're going to see those sand crabs come to the surface, and fishing in that whole zone is really going to heat up and get good. Haven't heard a lot from San Diego this week. It's been relatively quiet. We've had quite a few reports of small perch. That's really been about it down there. One thing to remember in San Diego is there's quite a few beaches that have rocks on them now. Have lost the sand and they have rocks there. Look for beaches with sand. We've already found weeks ago micro sand crabs in the sand in San Diego. As you go up north, Hermosa, Manhattan, and then Santa Barbara, the sand crabs are getting bigger and bigger as you go north. They love that cooler water, but once again, as soon as that water gets to 60 degrees, those sand crabs, regardless of where they are, will come up to the surface, and fish will be feeding on them much more. So when fishing in San Diego, look for beaches that have sand on them, because those beaches will be holding sand crabs. They'll be holding the forage, the food for the fish, and that's where the fish will be congregating, not in the rocky areas. One thing that you want to remember with these rains is water contact advisory. It's really important to remember this. We have talked about this before with the runoff from the fires. We're really not concerned with that right now because it covers a smaller area. But over much of the California coast, certainly Southern California, there is bacteria that gets in the water every time we have these rains. As little as 1/10 of an inch, not very much rain at all. And certainly when we have more than that, there's just that much more bacteria that gets in the water. And that bacteria is not particularly bad for fish, whether you're going to eat them or catching them. That's really not the concern. What the big concern is staph infections. If you have a cut of any type on your legs, your hand, and you go into this dirty water, you have a very good chance of getting a staph infection. A good friend of mine got a very serious one in Huntington Beach that really challenged his life. So remember that. Don't go into the water with any open cuts whatsoever until about a week after these rains are over. That way you know that bacteria has pretty much dissipated. And last, tonight is a full moon. There's a lunar eclipse tonight, all kinds of exciting things. And tomorrow at 10:30 at night begins the first scheduled Grunion run of the year. So that means that when those Grunion come in, they'll probably be in somewhere between 10:30 at night and 2 in the morning, I would guess. Once those come in, that's going to draw in halibut with them. It's going to draw the sea bass in with them, may even draw some yellowtail in for them in certain areas too. So that's going to begin this weekend. It'll be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night. Great nights to go down there. Now is a great time to collect your Grunion if you want to use them for bait, whether it's on the beach for halibut or out in the boat for calico bass and sand bass. Now is a really good time to get them because March is an open month for taking them, and then April, May, and June will be closed during no-take months. So you won't be able to take them then. So now is the time to get them, freeze them, use them for bait at the beach over those months until the season opens up in July again and you can begin to collect them again. So that's the Grunion run. It's coming up just tomorrow night, and those halibut are going to be coming in closer and closer to shore during each one of those Grunion runs. About every 2 weeks now for the next 4 or 5 months, those Grunion runs will happen. And remember, with those Grunion runs, the higher the tide at night, usually the more Grunion you'll see on the beach. So that's the surf report for today from fishthesurf.com and your saltwater guide. Once again, thank you on the Gamakatsu, folks. You'll be getting your stuff in the mail. Really looking forward to those reports. And until next week, I hope to see you on the sand.